Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad to welcome you back to our show again tonight. It's been a little while, so we're happy that you're joining us. If you can get involved in what's happening. And then we do encourage you that if it's your city, to be sure to take down the person's name and email and phone number. And then if an issue comes up or one that we talk about tonight is important to you, be sure to be in contact with them and let them know what you think or ideas that you have. So we're glad that you're joining us, and tonight we're going to be dealing with Crystal. We're very happy to have Julie Deshler, who's on the Crystal City Council, update us a little bit, because we haven't had anybody on from Crystal for a little while, so we're happy to have. Now, Crystal, like our other cities, are working on keeping your neighborhoods vital, attractive, strong, so people want to move in and are happy being here. What kind of plans does your city council have for keeping up your neighborhoods?
Well, we have code enforcement.
Okay.
So, for instance, most of the complaints that we get are from us as council people are neighbors that don't mow their lawns.
Uh-huh.
So a neighbor will call and say,
Right.
you know, my neighbor 2 houses down, their lawn looks like it's a hayfield. Loud music,
Right.
noise complaints. Fires, we allow backyard
Right.
recreational fires. But if they're too late at night and they're too smoky and they're not burning wood, they might be burning something else.
Right.
We try to keep an eye on making sure that residents do their part
Right.
to keep their property up and be good stewards of the community and be a good neighbor.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And we encourage, like the night to unite,
Oh, yeah.
neighbors getting together and knowing each other so they can keep an eye on the neighborhood. And, if you're going to go on vacation, a couple of your neighbors that you trust know
Right.
they can keep an eye on your property. We have like social media sites like the Light of Crystal. We're involved in Nextdoor.
Oh, right.
So residents, can jump on those sites and also see what's going on in the community.
Is Becker Park? Maybe you can tell us when and why Crystal set up a plan to improve Becker Park.
Planning for kind of reinventing Becker Park was for a few reasons. Other than maybe the Crystal Frolics
Right.
that was held once a year and some softball games, there wasn't a lot of activity.
Right.
And with the possibility of light rail, blue line coming through there, I think Crystal wanted to have, if you will, like a showcase park.
Oh,
Kind of
right.
a community gathering place, like just green space, open areas for, just the residents to gather and enjoy them. So it's been in the plans for a while, but it finally opened this year.
Yeah, and what kinds of work did you do on the park? What are,
Well, we have a lot of playground equipment.
okay.
And something new is a splash pad.
Oh,
So the kids, and that's been with the temperatures the way it is, that's been
Oh.
getting a lot of use
I bet.
this last few weeks. And then there's also some playground equipment that is accessible for people with disabilities too.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah. I live very close to the park, and so I'm just amazed and very pleased to see how much use this park is getting now.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You're right, because it kind of sat there and you drove by it, but you never saw very many people
Right,
there.
right. And we made some improvements, like, we kind of smooth things out along Bass Lake Road so
Right.
that you can actually kind of see into the park.
Oh, you
Made
can.
some improvements along Bass Lake with new lighting, benches, flowers, so that it just looks a little bit, neater, and it's also more secure.
Right. And it's sort of like the entryway into Crystal,
It
right?
is. It's kind of the premier park in our new town center. We're kind
Right.
of trying to reimagine our
Right.
downtown area, if there, if you will.
Well, and
So
you
we're
need
calling
to,
it town center,
yeah,
as far
and
as
you
I
need to
know.
keep up to date so people want to move to your city,
Right,
right?
exactly. And the park, it cost about $3 million
Ooh.
to get all the improvements. We did get some nice donations.
Uh-huh.
So Hennepin County gave us 160,000. Land and Water Conservation Fund was 150,000.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
one of the reasons for that was because when we were redoing the park, we put in a big underground tanks to capture some of the stormwater runoff in the area.
Right.
Certain parts of that area were kind of flooding if we have torrential rains. So we're able to store water there.
Take it out when
large
you need it.
amounts. Yeah, yeah. And so Hennepin County Youth Sports also donated 107,000. Chad Greenway's Lead the Way Foundation, another 15,000. St. Therese, interestingly enough, donated 10,000. Crystal VFW 10,000, and the Crystal Fund for Community Progress donated 5,000. And those donations primarily were for the cost of the playground equipment.
Sure.
So we had a lot of buy-in from businesses in the community that supported this.
Yeah, it
park.
sounds like
Yeah.
it. Now, you may kind of looked at your overall park system at that point in time too,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah, Crystal has about 27 parks, and of course, we don't have the funds in place to make improvements on all of them, all at
Right.
once. And so our Park and Rec Commission is a very active commission, and they look at the park planning process, the needs that are coming up over the next
Right.
10, 20 years. And they kind of make the recommendations to the city council what parks should be improved. And we kind of have them on a chart, if you will, so
Right.
that in a couple of years we'll do something with, North Lions Park. And a couple of years from then, they try to keep up most of the parks day to day.
Oh, of course.
But making bigger improvements takes planning and saving.
Oh, it takes
Yeah.
some time and people being on top of
Right.
changes and changes that you need. Like, I don't even know what pickleball is, but I know that it's very popular now.
Right.
So there's different
Right.
things that come through our whole group of people that change along the way.
Yeah, and a lot of people my age, they still like the softball games at
Right.
Becker Park, and that was a big bone of contention for some residents
Ah.
up there. They were really disappointed that we got rid of softball fields, but you could see that the use was declining.
Right.
And I know that you love softball and you like to watch a game, but do you really play much anymore? Life changes.
Right.
And so, in order to keep current and, again, like you said, attract new residents
Right.
and the younger families to the community, we're forced to make some changes sometimes, and not everybody's going to like
Right.
them. But if you just drive by that park and see the incredible amount of people using it, obviously it's been pretty well
Right.
received.
Now, have you completed all the things you wanted to for Becker Park?
Anything we've completed the things that they're going to do for now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there isn't anything.
There might be a
over-
couple, improvements in another 2 or 3 years
Right.
or something, but for now, we've spent the
Right.
budget.
Ah.
And, there are some picnic shelters, picnic tables, grills there. And you don't have to have, at least for now, it's first come, first serve.
Oh.
So if you want to have a family outing
On the spur of the moment?
on the spur of the moment, and you can get there and there's a
Right.
table open, grab it.
Yeah.
So, and there's no fee.
And now, will Crystal Frolics be in that area or a different area?
Yes, they are going to bring there's no frolics this year, sadly,
Right,
because
right.
of the COVID. But the plan is to bring the frolics back, reimagined in 2021. And then also in conjunction use Welcome Park for softball tournaments.
And then you have something that, when I read it, I didn't know what it meant, but I looked it up. Birthday Brigade. That was kind of fun when I was reading it. Maybe you can explain kind of what the program does and why Crystal decided to get involved.
Well, when the COVID kind of hit, and
Right.
we were, people were forced to kind of stay at home, and any kind of social gathering was,
Right.
banned, if you will. Actually, I believe it was our Public Works Director, Mark Ray, along with probably our Police Chief, Stephanie Revering. They came up with a plan where if you have a child that's 3 or 4 years old, the fire department and the police department and the public work trucks, if they're available,
Right.
will drive past somebody's home, and that has been very popular. And so they do like a little mini parade.
Yeah, and little bells
Yeah,
ringing and.
yeah. They turn on the sirens, and
Right.
it doesn't last long. I've gone to one. It lasts, maybe a minute and a half.
Right, right.
And now the city, it kind of looks to me like they do some in the morning. They'll
Uh-huh.
set aside a half an hour in the morning, and they'll, hit 2 or 3 of them,
Right.
and then another time slot in the afternoon. But we did have one recently where it was a gentleman's 90th birthday party.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the family asked for the public work trucks
Right.
and the police, and they did it.
Well, and that's
So,
kind
and the
of.
guy loved it.
Yeah, it's exciting. The
It was
bells and the
exciting,
whistles
yeah.
and all that big
Yeah.
equipment.
They're there anyway if they're not on service calls.
Yeah, I mean,
They've got the
right,
time.
Right.
And it's just something nice for the community
Oh,
to
definitely.
do. So
And especially exciting for the kids, but like you said, for the
Oh.
90-year-old too.
yeah. I went to one where it was a birthday party of like a 3-year-old.
Uh-huh.
And it was at a daycare. And the kids, they had the flags, they were waving the little American flag. And I don't know, and they were so excited to
Oh, I
see all
bet,
that.
yeah.
Of course, the police don't get out of their cars and
Right.
visit with the kids, but, it's just fun.
So the West Metro Fire District is.
They bring their fire trucks,
They bring
too.
the big fire trucks
Yeah.
and the hooks and ladders.
If it's
and that.
available, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't take it if it's already.
There's
gone.
about 11, 12 vehicles.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
And-
it's a parade, definitely.
It is. And, they usually start at one part of the city and then
Uh-huh.
they kind of organize a block or two away
Right.
from the party, and then they all come
Right.
in together.
Oh,
So,
because I thought, what a fun idea.
it was a fun idea, and
Yeah.
it was very, very popular.
And so all of those departments kind of get involved in putting the whole thing together as a whole.
Yes, yeah, they
Is
work
the-
together.
So is one particular person in charge of it?
Well, right now, as far as I know, you just go to the city website.
Okay.
And also, there's some information about it in the quarterly newsletter that
Oh,
the city
okay.
sends out. But yeah, if you go to the city website, there's a place that you can find out more information on the birthday brigade.
Yeah.
Or
'cause you-
call City Hall too if you don't have
Okay.
access to a computer. Or you can call me and I can,
Okay,
get it set up too.
point them in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah, because they have to contact, make an appointment,
Yeah.
and then they can set it up on a schedule, and they can make kids excited and the adults around them.
Actually, there is a person that does schedule it at City Hall.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's Justin Tourville.
Okay, let me write that down now. I'll put it up on the screen.
Sergeant Justin Tourville.
Justin, how do you spell the last name? Do you know?
It's like Tour, Tourville.
Okay.
He's in charge of the scheduling, and from there, he will contact Public Works and.
Okay, good. I'll
Fire
put that up
department.
on the screen.
Yeah.
Then the whole area of redevelopment, all of our cities, almost all of them are in redevelopment now, because I think Plymouth and Maple Grove have a little bit of development
left.
left in
Right,
Brooklyn
right.
Park, but we're almost all settled and needing to redevelop things.
Right.
So I thought maybe you can tell us about, first of all, what are the newest businesses that have come to Crystal? Because that comes under that whole area.
Well, we have a storage place where Herzing College was.
Uh-huh.
That was leveled, and there's a new storage facility. It's really quite attractive, if there is such a thing as attractive storage facility. In the old Thriftway location, it's U-Haul storage.
Yeah, I saw that driving by it.
Yeah, I mean, I have some heartburn getting all storage or all
Right,
liquor
right.
stores or all,
Yeah, you wonder, is this the
You
way
gotta
to
be
go?
careful. Yeah, I know
Right.
it, but yet if it's zoned commercial, there
Yeah.
not a whole lot we can.
True.
If they meet the criteria of what the zoning, is for a particular area, there
Yep.
is, and we don't own the land
No.
as a city, we can't always, say, no, you can't come here because we don't want
Right.
another storage. So, but they are new businesses, they are kept up nice.
Right.
And it's definitely better than looking at a empty blighted
Oh,
building.
definitely,
So,
right.
Yeah. One of the biggest disappointments for our community, I think, or some of the residents, is we had a restaurant, Taste of Italy, on
Uh-huh.
42nd,
Oh, right.
And, they didn't own that property, Taste of Italy, somebody else. And that property went up for sale, and a Tumble Fresh Laundry has decided to go in there. And while I love the Taste of Italy, that parking lot, it needed some improvements in just the parking lot. So, again, do I want a laundromat? I don't want to be anti-business and say no, but it will be, a well-kept laundry.
Right.
It sounds like it's an upscale kind of a laundry. And they'll keep the property up. They'll do some nice landscaping, and the parking lot will look nice. So I think Tumble Fresh is looking forward to coming to Crystal, and they obviously think that they can have a thriving business. So, welcome to Crystal. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
34th and Douglas. There were some older businesses there, and maybe one house, if I remember. And that is going to be leveled, and there's going to be like a 22 or 32 unit assisted living.
Oh.
And I've got some graphics on that if you want to show. But
we'll get those up. We can see. Oh yeah, the view, what they look like. Yeah, that's an important area for this whole outer part of the Twin Cities, is providing that kind of living spaces.
Right. There's also a proposed apartment complex.
Okay.
4 stories. That's something new. That will be market rate rental. And that is proposed to, there's going to be some meetings about that, neighborhood meetings coming up in July. And that would be on the empty site that is next to Big Louie's.
Oh.
Which I'm grateful that something will be going in there, because it's been vacant for a long time. And when I drive down Broadway, it's a lot, but it always looks messy because so much litter flies in there and nobody's maintaining it. So I think having that apartment will be really a nice improvement. And a lot of times too, when you bring in apartments, you also, business follows.
Oh, right.
Like restaurants,
Definitely.
because the more residents are in an area, the more likely a small little restaurant or something will thrive with local business. So.
Yeah, because you've got a recently completed development project on Phoenix Place. Now, was that one of the ones you just mentioned?
No.
Okay.
Unless, to tell you the truth, I don't even know what that is.
Okay, because it was a living place, and that just got done. But then
that might be, that says completed.
Was it the same
You better
one?
cut this part out, because I don't know.
All right, then we won't put that in. Now, you said some storage space under construction on West Broadway.
Yep.
And then there's a River Tree School.
Yeah, they just added some classrooms on. So.
And that was on Vera Cruz, I think. That's what I jotted down.
Yes.
And then
we've got 3 new single-family homes on 5100 block of Kentucky going in.
Yeah,
kind of by
Iron Horse Park is the name of the area, right?
Yeah.
And then you had, then the memory care one that you mentioned on Douglas Drive, right?
That's the one on 3500 block of Douglas. That's the one I just gave you the pictures.
Right, and I've got the pictures, so we'll put those up. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your EDA program, your Economic Development Program, where it purchases blighted homes, clears them, and then hopefully sells the lot?
Yeah, that program started quite a few years ago now.
Oh, right.
When the housing market crashed the last time, and a lot of people were bailing and foreclosing on their
2009.
homes. And at that time, the city had EDA money. Well, it still does, but Economic Development Authority. So a minuscule amount of your property taxes funnels into a fund, EDA fund. And the city uses that fund to make improvements that hopefully help the well-being of a community maintain its viability.
Oh, sure, keep up the appearance.
Yeah, the appearance, right. Make public improvements. So, for instance, maybe the street lights on Bass Lake Road, that comes out of, say, EDA money in some instances. But so the city was buying properties for a fairly reduced price.
Right.
And then the Public Works Department would literally go in and pretty much level the home.
Uh-huh.
And they would, do the soil samples on the property and get the property ready to sell. And the city made a decision to sell those lots, empty lots, to developers or contractors.
Right.
Because, with the caveat that they had X amount of time to put a house up.
Right.
We didn't want people buying them and then just sitting on the lot for 100
Right,
years.
that wouldn't help.
Right. So we wanted the new homes, obviously, because it
Mm-hmm.
makes the neighborhood look newer, but probably more so too, maybe the tax money.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Oh, that makes a
I
difference,
need to be
right.
completely honest.
Oh, sure.
And that program has been very, very successful. But now with flipping houses are quite a bit more money now.
Oh, right.
And if there is something really, really reduced price, it goes fast to the private
Right.
market. And if the private market is willing to invest and make the corrections, more power to them. We're happy to see that. Right now, we only have one lot
Oh.
for sale. I believe in 2019, we had 9 lots that were sold and houses put up that are probably completed or just about to
Right.
be completed. But so now we don't have any.
So it could probably cycle
It
around,
is, yeah, right.
come back again.
If
And,
there's ever a crash,
Right.
it happens.
and then it does help to get kind of the blighted houses out of a
It
neighborhood.
does. It
Because
really
people
does.
appreciate that when
Yes,
they've
yeah.
had one that's kind of running down, people aren't taking care of it. and-
Right.
So it's a means of dealing with that. But it's interesting how it cycles with how the economy cycles.
Mm-hmm. And one other thing that you didn't have on this, but it goes along with blighted properties,
Uh-huh.
is Crystal has a program for if you have a project and you own the home,
Uh-huh.
and say you want to have your garage recited,
Right.
and it's $15,000. If you make 110% or less of the median income
Okay.
in the Twin Cities, you can go to the city website because we have funds available,
Oh, right.
and 20% of your project costs will be refunded to you. Or there's other loans, for instance, that you can take out that are very low interest. And then there are some forgivable grants, if you will, that if you make improvements and you live at the property for 15
Right.
years, it's totally forgiven. But it's money out there, so residents feel more comfortable making these improvements
right.
and keeping their properties up. But it's curious that not a lot of people tap into those programs.
Oh,
Not as
sure.
many as I would think.
Right.
And I just had a friend of mine, and I told them about
Right.
the money, and they did. They had their house rewired, and they had a garage recited, and they were able to capture 20% of the cost
Right.
back. So, it was a $30,000 project. And essentially, they got $6,000 that money back, which
Yeah.
goes a long way, and they could use that $6,000 to
Right.
reinvest in another
Yeah,
project.
we'll encourage people out in Crystal.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of doing something, contact the city, because it doesn't hurt to find out.
Right,
It's not going
right.
to cost you anything
Yeah.
to find out if you qualify and if your project qualifies.
Yeah.
But it could help you, give you the incentive to move ahead and,
Well, 20% is 20%,
that's
and if
significant amount.
like I told a friend of mine that was doing it, if you're doing a $10,000 project and you can get $2,000
Right.
back, if there was $2,000 laying on the floor next to you, would you bend over and pick it up? Yeah.
Right, right.
So, yeah, any Crystal resident, definitely.
Yeah, and I
Call
think-
City Hall, call the Community Development Department, and we have an off-site company manage the process, but the city can get you steered in the right direction. You can't do a project and have it completed and then come back and say, oh, I want 20% back. You have to do the approvals
Oh,
in
right.
advance of the project.
Right.
You have to get 2 bids from a contractor,
Follow the rules.
fill out the paper.
Right.
Yeah, you got to follow the rules, but it's very, very easy process.
Now, I'll put down here that if any people have questions about redevelopment, all the things we've been talking about,
Or remodeling,
John
yeah.
Sutter
Yes.
is is the person to call.
He is our, yeah, if any new businesses out there are listening, we would love to have you in Crystal. But
Right.
yeah, contact our community development director, John Sutter.
Sure, we'll put his email and his phone number
Yes,
up. So
uh-huh.
that could be a starting point for that program we just talked about, too.
Right.
So get involved if you're thinking of making changes.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on to about utilities and infrastructure needs. You did a couple years ago, you did a utility study.
Mm-hmm.
Why was this undertaken, or what were you looking at?
Well, just to evaluate the rates for water and sanitary sewer utilities, to make sure that we were planning for replacement of the aging infrastructure. Crystal, most of the city council people are trying to go to a fully paid off, everything we're going to pay cash.
Right.
We are not wanting to take on debt. So in order to do that, you have to plan for any upcoming
Right.
infrastructure improvements, and that is very, very expensive stuff.
Uh-huh.
So right now, the city virtually has no debt except for the street reconstruction bonds that are in place
That it
from
does
a
each summer,
project
right.
that, but in the next, 8-10 years, those bonds will get paid off.
Right.
And then, we aren't paying any high interest rates to service any of a debt. Any money that we take in from taxpayer residents all goes back out to projects and improving
Sure.
our community. And it doesn't go to paying, millions of dollars of interest every
Right.
year. So,
Yeah, because you've been kind of moving in that direction for a few years now, right?
right.
Not something you can do immediately.
No, you can't. You
Yeah.
have to. It's just like personal. You got so many credit cards and you want to go debt free, then you're going to have to pay them off over
Right.
time and reduce your spending
Right.
while you're paying them off.
So what did you learn from your utility study? What did it uncover for you?
Well, I guess that the basis for billing wasn't necessarily tied to consumption,
Uh-huh.
and that apparently didn't make sense to our city staff or to the council members. So we have made some tweaks to the water. We buy our water from the city of Minneapolis,
Right.
just as you do,
Oh,
and
yeah,
New Hope,
along with,
and Golden Valley.
right.
And then the Met Council charges us a certain dollar amount monthly for sewage treatment. And so a lot of our rates are tied to what they're charging
Uh-huh.
us.
Right.
But we do have great water in Crystal and New
Oh,
Hope,
I
and
agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And the cost for us, to maintain our own wells and, clean it, it would be cost prohibitive
Oh.
at this point. So we do have some emergency wells that we have paid for and built just for backup in case something
Oh, yeah,
catastrophic should happen.
All three
But-
cities decided
yeah.
they should do that a while back.
But I know there has been a fair amount of contention in our community about our water rates, that people feel like it's too high.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to wave my thank you at you since we don't shake hands nowadays. But I appreciate your coming and sharing all these ideas about Crystal. And we'll encourage those of you out there, if there was an idea that interested you, follow up on it. And we're glad that you've joined us this week, and we hope you'll join us again next week for part 2 on Crystal's issues.